Well, welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous Trista.
And we're joined by filmmaker, journalist, model, actor, puppet maker, Emma Dark. It's very good to have you back.
You're right.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's lovely to see you.
You as well.
Yeah.
It would be nice to get back to Frightmare.
Fright Fest.
Fright
Yeah,
Fest. I was
thinking of that. Yeah, I was thinking of it today, and when we went out for that meal with Tim Dry and Barbie Wild and your giant cocktail that you had.
Yes. It was like this big, literally. Yeah. I had two of them too. I had one before you came along. None of that anymore. But that was a good time. How did you know Barbie and Tim before that? Because they introduced them.
I don't know, actually. I don't know where I met Tim, but I had met him before that. I'm not 100% sure I'd met Barbie before that. But, yeah, I don't know. You know, you go to these events in London and stuff, and you meet all kinds of people there. So, yeah, I had met him before.
That's a huge, for people who haven't been, that's a huge festival, multi-screen. And people are really loyal too, even because sometimes when I go to the bigger ones, when I go to the smaller ones, there's like a community aspect, and then you think maybe there wouldn't be in a big one, but there was there too. There's even a guy who had a tattoo on his arm.
Yes, yeah, Jonathan, yeah, true dedication there.
Yeah, you don't have a Fright Fest tattoo.
I don't. No. Sorry to say. Yeah.
Maybe we get a without your head tattoo.
Maybe. Yeah.
So what have you been working on? Anything currently?
Well, I worked on Goryo last year, which you know about. Obviously, the audience might not know about that. Yeah, that was so. As soon as the kind of quarantine and stuff happened in the UK, one of my friends, Nikolai Cornham, phoned me up. To be honest, it's the only time he'd phoned me up. So I thought, like, you know, on Facebook when you can accidentally dial somebody.
Right.
Like, I mean, I accidentally dialed you when we were having a conversation. Yeah. Uh-huh. But it happened again a couple more times. So I thought, oh, you must actually be wanting to chat with me then. Right. And yeah, I had a conversation with him, and he wanted to put together like a little anthology, obviously around the whole COVID-19 thing, but horror stories, all tasteful, of course. So yeah, I made this kind of J horror for that, but it all had to be shot on a mobile phone. Obviously we're in isolation, so I had to shoot myself, which is hard because I had nothing. I couldn't see what I was doing. So I literally had to record a clip, go back, check it, reposition myself, reposition the camera, etc. Although amazingly, it only took an afternoon to shoot it. It's only 2 minutes, but you know, considering all the kind of hassle I had to go through to shoot it, I think it would take longer.
You played both roles, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, literally because there was no other choice, really. You know, maybe if I was better at After Effects or something, I could have, you know, got somebody else to film that and put it in. But yeah, it works okay.
Yeah, when you're filming yourself, you know, and you have all these limitations, do you think that actually helps you as a filmmaker, though, overall, you know, learning different techniques? I
think so. I mean, every time you do something, so I go out and do like little test pieces with friends and stuff. I go out and do photography with friends. Every time you do something, you will learn something about composition, what works with what light, etc. And if you're making a short film, you learn all kinds of things like, so I wouldn't normally do sound design, and I certainly wouldn't for one of my kind of bigger budget festival films. Somebody else would do that because it is a dark art. But for this, I had to really kind of get in there and do that. So I learned something about that. So every time you do something, you are learning something new, no matter how big or small the project is, really.
So that came out as part of the anthology. Goryo originally. It
did, yeah, the isolation horrors. So there are four other films as part of that. So all different, all shot on mobile and mostly self-shot. But not all. Nikolai's stuff looks absolutely fantastic because he's a really good cinematographer. So it's quite a nice little anthology, really.
Mm-hmm. Did all of you know what you were going to do, so you didn't do like a similar story, or were you all just left alone to create your own?
No, nobody knew what they were going to do. So the context was Nick and I had this wraparound kind of feature where he, his character in this short found this face mask in the street, and he was ringing up different friends to find out where this face mask had come from. And then it would go into our individual stories. So it didn't have to kind of, that's the only tie-in it had to have, was that initial having a call with him and, you know, having that tie-in to do with the COVID. So.
And now Goryo's up on it. You put it up on YouTube.
I did, yeah, separately as well, because, you know, it's new material and, you know, I'm not like a YouTuber. I can't make something every week. So if I've got something, I like to put it on there, although it is occasional, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's the feedback been for the anthology itself and for your short?
Yeah, pretty positive, I think, really. Lots of people have liked it, and different comments about different shorts in it. I mean, they are all very different, both visually and in context. There are some comedy elements in there and stuff, which I haven't got in mind, at least not intentionally anyway. And people have said mine's slick and stuff like that, which is good, considering I'd always been quite against mobile cinematography, just because, you know, it's not very flexible really, which to my mind makes it a bit more difficult to shoot things. But obviously if somebody hasn't got other kit, then they would go for that. And I mean, yeah, there's some pretty good stuff. We've got some pretty good shots. So maybe my mind's changed on that a bit, but I don't think I would do kind of a longer short with it. But yeah. Would
any plans to revisit Goryo to do a longer one, or do a?
No, because I mean, it has got that. It's got the typical kind of thing with a Japanese lady in white, you know, the ghost kind of thing going on. And yeah, use of technology and things like that, which we've seen in some of the other films, you know, a curse that just never stops. But yeah, I don't think I would take that further, because it is to do with COVID-19. And at some point in the future, you know, hopefully it's not going to be an issue, right, which would make the film a bit redundant if you were to make a feature, in my opinion.
Trista, do you have a question?
I'd love to know what some of your favorite horror films are.
Yeah, so I haven't got like a specific favorite or like a bunch of favorites. I think most people that know me will know I like Chucky. I really like the Chucky
films. You fit in
films.
with Trista, yeah.
Do you like them, Trista?
Oh, I love Chucky.
Yeah. It's so cute, but, you know, obviously it's so horrible at the same time. But yeah, I particularly like, Child's Play, the first film, and The Bride of Chucky. I'm quite interested to see what the new TV series will be like as well. Candyman as well is another favourite film of mine. I'm really looking forward to seeing the new Candyman.
So is my mom, who bought a new Candyman shirt to wear to Candyman.
Yeah, your mum is super cool.
She is. I'll tell her. I'll let her know that you said that.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks really good from the trailer and the animated short and stuff, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I just hope they've got enough of Tony Todd in it.
Yeah, so, I think they've kind of kept it, you know, which is cool, kept it kind of a secret. But and the newer trailer I saw this week at the theater, like you could definitely tell it was his voice. Like you could in some other ones, but this one was very clear it was him.
Yeah, I kind of get the impression, and I mean, obviously, you know, it could be proved wrong because it's coming out very soon, that there are like, you know, there can be different instances of the Candyman.
Right.
It's
going to be a different take on it.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, I'm very hopeful. It looks great. So the trailer. Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I love Candyman too. With Candyman as well. And and all the trailers, even the ones that, like you said, kind of the puppet ones that aren't really necessarily about the movie, or I don't know, maybe it is, but they look great.
Yeah, they're great, and it's. I mean, if you've watched that, the Shadow Puppet short film, it's quite sad as well. So I'm glad they're bringing more of that element into it, that realism. I know with the first Candyman I've watched, quite a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff to do with that. And even though it's about persecution, the producers, as far as I understand, were quite against having the interracial relationships, certain elements of that on screen. So hopefully that's something that won't be an issue now. And I would like to see more of that as well.
Yeah. That's what makes it really strange. There are some horror fans I see on like social media who are like, oh, I hope they don't put too much social commentary or whatever. And I was like, have you ever seen the original movie? Or like, I don't, or any horror, almost all genre films have social commentary in them,
Exactly.
Maybe you don't notice it, but it's there.
Yeah, yeah. And another film, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily, again, it's pure horror, but The Crow, it's one of my favourite films. Such a beautiful film. And I really hope it's never remade. Yeah,
it would be. There's sometimes they'll surprise you, but usually they don't. Usually,
no. And I know it's not exactly the same as the graphic novel. I know there are missing elements and things that were changed and stuff, but I mean, it is a masterpiece. And Brandon Lee did die making the film, so yeah, don't remake it. Leave it as it is. That's what I say.
Now you did a Candyman puppet.
Yes, I've got him sat next to me. Do you want to see him?
I would love to see.
Okay, I have to try and show him properly on screen, which is quite difficult now.
Oh man! See, I've not actually seen him next to you. So I didn't realize he was so big.
Wow!
Yeah, he's quite big. So if you can just about see it, because I can only see like a little thumbnail on screen. So.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Best piece there as well, and he does have a little. He does have a little hook hand, but that's kind of detachable.
Oh wow!
Because I didn't want to build over his little hands, so yeah. But yeah, and his mouth opens as well. I don't know if you can see his teeth.
Wow, this is really beautiful.
Yeah, and I kept his eyes kind of like whited out like the shadow puppets and the animation as well, just so that it sort of had elements of all the different Candyman films in there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, was this something you also did during COVID, or?
Yeah, because obviously, it's quite limited as to what you could do in lockdown and stuff. And I bought a puppet from somebody who does this professionally, Twisted Tug Studios, for my next film. And when I got the puppet, I thought it looked so beautiful. I'd like to have a go at making them myself as well, just for myself, not to sell or anything. And then I just bought one and started sculpting over it with you have to use like epoxy clay, which kind of chemically bonds to it and stuff. So you've only got a small window to sculpt in. Then obviously I've painted them up with acrylics and stuff like that and varnished them and, got all the little clothes and everything. And I had to sew his cravat and his trousers, which took so long. I had to do all that by hand. So, quite a few things going on. But yeah, I wanted something fun to do. So obviously I made this short, Goryo. And then I thought, okay, what else can I do while we're kind of not really allowed outside stuff? Yeah, exactly. Make a puppet. Yeah, I've made three of them now, actually.
Did you have any background in sculpting, or was this all something?
I did a sculpture course about 15 years ago with terracotta clay, but that was only about 4 to 6 lessons, something like that. So, yeah.
Oh. So do you have plans to continue the puppets?
Yeah, so I've got another one to show you. I just need to pop Candyman on the floor. Just give me one second. Right. Otherwise, I'm going to get surrounded by too many of the puppets. Yeah. So this one, I haven't put anything on social media about him yet, and I've still got to do all his outfit, which, to be honest, is going to be very, very complicated. So you can tell me if you recognise this one without his outfit.
He looks great, but I'm trying to. Is it Skinless Frank?
No. So this is you really need the outfit.
I see.
Yeah. So it's Darkman.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's Darkman. Yeah, so he needs the.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get a hat, to be honest. But I'm going to be able to do the bandages and the little Mac and everything like that. But I've got to make and adapt clothes, so it's going to take time, unfortunately.
I love it.
But yeah, there's his little hands need painting, and yeah, I don't know if I could get him.
Now that once you say it, I definitely see it. But he is one that because he's also I don't want to say like a not unknown character at all, but he's he's not one of the main guys you would think of. So I think I think that's cool. To ones that you personally like.
Yeah, he's not one of the main ones, but weirdly, because I wanted to do something that required a bit more sculpting this time around, I was trying to think of a character, and Freddy Krueger obviously came to mind, but I just thought there are so many Freddy Krueger things. Yeah. I'd like to do something a little bit different. And I quite like, with Candyman with the long coat and stuff like that. And then I thought, how about Dark?
And I think that makes it more personal to you if it's a character that, that's important to you.
Yeah, exactly. But nobody else has seen that because it's just taken so long to try and source all these clothes, and it's going to take me days to do all the clothes. So then I've got to photo shoot them all. And
how about making the clothes? Is this something you've done before?
I did make the costume for Island of the Blind Dead, that film that I made in 2015, whenever it was. Yeah, so I did make that, but trust me, I'm no seamstress. I'm not good at this stuff, which is why it takes me so long. No,
it's amazing though. Would you? Are you eventually going to make maybe like an original character for a movie or a short?
I would like to. Yeah, I did kind of think, like, because I've got that ventriloquist dummy puppet for my next short from Twisted Tugs, I thought I could have him sat with other puppets. Mm-hmm. So then I could just make endless puppets, couldn't I, really? But yeah, I don't know. It takes time.
Yeah.
And obviously when we were locked down, I had much more time than I've got now to make them. So yeah, but my Candyman, I think he took at least a solid week. See, to me, that doesn't seem that long to make something like that. So I think that's very impressive. Yeah.
I thought it would be like months, like it took me 6 months or something.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I literally worked on him solidly for that whole week.
Right.
So
yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Magic with Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah. I've seen that a long time ago, actually. Yeah, I can't say I remember it entirely, but I did like it at the time. So.
Yeah, the movie itself is good, but the trailer is one of the, not to be a tough guy, but it's one of the few things that scared me, because I watch horror movies since I was a little kid, but the trailer always really scared me. It's just it's only like 8 seconds. He says a little like rhyme, and it always freaked me out.
Yeah. I can't remember it, even though I have watched the trailer recently.
Yeah. It's like, abracadabra, I sit on your knee, presto, changeo, and now he is me. Yeah. Hocus pocus, I take her to bed. Then, magic is fun. We're dead.
You're remembering this very well.
Yes. It's very creepy. I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6, and we had a Hugo. It was a ventriloquist doll. My older brother had it, and so he would scare me with it because I was scared from the trailer.
Ooh. Yeah, like.
But anyway, that reminds me.
That is quite scary, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So I think I'd be freaked out with all the dummies.
Yeah, you'd probably be freaked out in the room that I'm in.
Right.
Yeah. I also have to apologise because I told you before we started recording, I've had COVID recently, so if my voice breaks up, it's because of that. Yeah, but anyway, the room that I'm in, I've got my backdrop up at the minute, but behind that is full of puppets, like Billy from Saw, like the Good Guy doll, Tiffany, Bride of Chucky, all kinds of things. Annabelle, they're all going on behind me. Yeah.
What is it about creepy dolls that you like?
I don't know, they're cute.
Yeah.
Why not? It's like reliving your childhood, isn't it? But sort of in a twisted way.
Right. I approve. I have a bunch of goofy stuff back here.
Yeah, I really like your stuff, actually. Yeah, I'm sort of looking at that as we're talking. What's that pig in the corner?
The which one?
It looks like a Cenobite pig in the corner.
Up here?
A painting, yeah.
This painting here is from Motel Hell.
Okay.
Annabelle Lecter painted that for my birthday one year.
Yeah.
Anything
I like
else?
it. It's very nice.
These aren't really horror, but I put them up for fall. They're little. Getting me up this fall. They're just little gnomes I bought at a local store. They were fall gnomes, and I thought they looked cute, so I put them up there. I'm just moving Family
Yeah.
Opera because he's falling at the moment.
Yeah. He wants a spotlight, I think.
He did. I guess Creepshow wanted to be displayed. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Tristan, do you have another question?
I do have a question. First, I have to tell you, I'm so impressed by these puppets. I have nothing to show for quarantine, and I wish I had made amazing puppets. They're beautiful. Thank you for sharing them with us. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. I'm always interested in what scares horror creators. So do you have any fears or phobias you can share with us?
Not particularly, to be honest. I'm not scared of things like spiders or anything like that people might be scared of normally. Yeah, no, I don't know actually that I do have any phobias. One thing maybe, I don't like seeing skeletons with their eyes in necessarily. I find that's actually creepy. It's creepier than just having a skeleton.
Yeah.
Have you got one? A skeleton with their eyes in?
Sort of.
Yeah, no, that's not scary. That's not the flesh on it. But yeah, like when you see skeletons with their eyes in, or like brains, like yeah. Is it RoboCop 2 where the brain comes out of the? I can't remember the name of the model of the robot they make to combat RoboCop. Do you remember?
I know the robot, but I'm not sure the name of it. But yeah.
Yeah, that freaked me out a bit.
The brains. I'm thinking you could see like in Pet Cemetery when the kid gets hit. Not the little kid, but Pascal gets hit. I think his brains are coming out.
Yeah, see, that's not too bad if it's like that. If it's just a brain, and it's gone sort of like when they make it and it goes a bit jelly like, that freaks me out.
I see. Very, very particular.
Yeah, it has to be very particular thing. But apart from that, I don't think I have like all the normal fears that people would have. I don't know. Yeah.
Now, I didn't know you were a big fan of Chucky, which was cool because Trista is too. But also something I thought would connect you is I saw you have a very big cat on your Instagram.
Oh, she's not big. She's tiny. Yeah,
oh, really? She looks big. Or maybe you're very small.
I think maybe, maybe I'm like quite small. I don't know. She's tiny. Yeah. My friend's little boy saw her recently and thought she was a kitten. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's quite small, but she's quite long. And I did have her sort of stretched out. So.
Yeah, it was a cute picture because you're holding her and she's just kind of looking at the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some like outtakes actually with her putting crazy faces. So.
What's the cat's name?
Put that up. Argenta.
Oh, that's a good name.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like Argento.
Mm-hmm.
Dario Argento, obviously. Asia Argento. Yeah.
Speaking of Argento, who would be some of like what are some of the movies or filmmakers that made you want to become a filmmaker?
I don't really follow filmmakers specifically because it's more about the films. I mean, you know, it really, you can't say a certain director because work does change a little bit depending on, you know, what production company you've got and how much involvement they've got, the script you're given, etc., etc. So I wouldn't say a specific filmmaker, but if we're talking about kind of very, very kind of artistic, influential work, maybe somebody like Kubrick, which is probably going to be, you know, an inspiration for a lot of people, not just me. So Tarantino, you know, his work is reasonably consistent. He does seem to change or want to change with each film what he's doing. He's somebody I admire as well.
You could still watch him and like say, "Oh, this is a Tarantino movie," even if it's a, you know, maybe a different setting or something.
Yeah. With him and Kubrick, there's quite most of the films are quite consistent. But yeah, I mean, there are loads of directors that I like where, you know, I like some of their films or I like their approach and stuff like that.
I know you do a lot of sci-fi shorts as well. Do you have a preference between horror and sci-fi, or you just kind of see them as the same way of storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer horror. However, I think there are a lot of aspects that aren't always explored and get explored in sci-fi films. I don't know if you look at Sadie -10, for example, it has got horror elements, like with the corpse and stuff like that. And that is more the kind of thing that I like to do. So more of kind of a thinking film, but with the horror as part of it. And I know most people will just put that in the sci-fi category. But for me, it does have the horror in it as well. Yeah.
It's something we bring up a lot on the show. To me, to argue over genre of anything is kind of silly. It's just if you like it or not. And almost all, not all, but a lot of things can be considered, multiple genres if you wanted to pick it apart.
Exactly. I spoke to somebody the other day and they said to me, "Oh no, I don't like horror. I don't like horror. I like sci-fi. I like Alien and Event Horizon." I was like, okay, that's horror.
Yeah. It happens to be in a spaceship, but it's...
Yeah, exactly. I think some people, they might think horror is just either about ghosts or about lots and lots of blood. So
yeah,
I find that's
both those have a lot of blood though too. And Event Horizon, arguably about ghosts too. Yeah,
it's extreme in places. And there's all the lost footage, isn't there, of the kind of the hell like type scenes.
There's always rumors they're gonna, release like a different cut of the movie, but
they can't though because it all burnt in a fire, didn't it?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
so. Yeah, unless somebody I did hear a rumor at some point that somebody did have that footage, like a really dodgy copy of it, but it's never surfaced. So I think it's a bit of an urban myth, really.
Yeah. So you also write for We Belong Dead magazine.
Yes, I do indeed. Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I just need to put. I've got another puppet in my arms here. Let me just put him down for 1 second. Yeah, I can show you the We Belong Dead magazine. I've got that in front of me. There we go.
Very nice. Great cover.
Beautiful.
So, and there are some really nice covers, actually. So this mainly focuses on classic horror. However, my column doesn't focus on classic horror. It's kind of all different things. And what I like to do as well is I like to take questions from readers as well and answer those. So they can be about filmmaking or they can be about horror and sci-fi, basically, something that's in theme with the magazine. And I talk about what I've done basically in that sort of month and a half. Obviously not much in quarantine. So it would be things like making a lot of cool puppets. Yes. What I've seen, what I can recommend to people, on Netflix and things like that. Books that I've read, horror books. And I read a really good one, actually, really, really relevant, by Graham Masterson called Plague, which I recommend people read. And it just started out with so many similarities to the whole COVID thing. And it doesn't end in a good way. So...
Did you read it?
That's not really a spoiler alert. It's,
right. Did you read it during COVID?
Yes, I did.
Was that a difficult read to read during that time?
Not really. No, it was an interesting read. It was just strange how accurate that he'd got a lot of things. And you just think, if something like this did happen, it could very easily go to the kind of extreme lengths that he's gone there. It's a bit like if you crossed COVID with The Walking Dead, that's kind of what you've got with that book. And I think there is another one. I can't remember what that's called though. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I need to read that one as well. I think something to do with famines or something. The next one in the series.
So you said you recommend stuff you've seen on Netflix or different streaming sites. Anything recently that you would recommend?
Blood Red Sky, that was a really good one. There was another one that I watched which was a kind of time travel one, which I can't remember the name of. It was something to do with something like Don't Let Go or something like that, or Never Let Go. I'm not sure the title along those themes. You can find it. It's in the new ones that have been released in the past month. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. Really well made. I watched a Dennis Nilsson documentary the other day as well, based on tapes that he'd recorded in prison after he'd been convicted of murder. That was quite interesting. So I'd recommend that. Apart from that, I don't know. I've kind of been in a bit of a haze with the whole kind of COVID thing. And I watched a bunch of Russian sci-fi movies my friend sent me in the post, which were really good, like modern films. Again, which I can't remember the names of, but I would definitely be recommending those.
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a Russian science fiction film.
Yeah, well, I mean, apart from stuff like Tarkovsky from years ago, but nothing, I hadn't seen anything modern.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, really big budget, really interesting films. So I definitely recommend.
Yeah. That's a good thing about the festivals and a lot of the streaming sites. I know you said a friend sent this to you, but a lot of stuff that you might not have ever seen before is, it's out there. We can see more than we used to be able to.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Another one that escaped me, The Swarm. That's really, really good. Really good.
I've not heard. I don't know. I don't think I've seen that one either.
It's about, I think they're locusts or something like that. It wasn't very helpful after I watched this this horrible film, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But then I had a cricket outside my window, which did freak me out a bit. So.
At least it wasn't a swarm of crickets, but yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah.
He was the lookout to bring in the rest, maybe.
Yeah.
Trista, do you have another question?
You mentioned an upcoming project with a puppet. Is there anything else you can tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So this is kind of the next bigger film that I want to make. So obviously the last festival film that I made was Salient Minus 10, which was a few years ago now. And then I had a bit of a break because it just takes so long to make them. Like I'm literally on these things for 12 to 18 months doing so many different things on them and then taking them around the festivals and everything. It's quite exhausting. So I'm not kind of making one every 2 minutes. But yeah, I do want to make another one, which has obviously been delayed because of the circumstances we're all going through at the minute. And that one I would like to make as a feature. And, that's entirely dependent on whether I can get budget. But if I can't, I would like to make that as an anthology. So at least I can make one of them as a short, or I could perhaps make a trailer of everything and try to get the funding that way. But yeah, the puppet will be in there in one of the segments. And it will be horror. So, yes.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, so, not revealing too much there, but it's all dependent on whether I can get the budget. Otherwise, again, it ends up as a short. But by the time you put the amount of effort that, I've gone to with most of these shorts, you may as well have made a feature. So.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When you started out, did you want to be a filmmaker or did you want to be an actor?
Filmmaker. So I actually come from a modelling background, as you mentioned, and I did modelling for years, mainly for photographers and creative groups and stuff, but I did fashion stuff as well. It was fun and interesting, but you're not you get great pictures and you're part of a creative process, but you're not the controller of that creative process. And then off the back of doing that, I ended up doing some acting, with a Kim Wilde music video and a few other music videos and stuff for a friend of mine. And I've acted in a few things since. But really, when I went into making my own films, it was with the intention of being a filmmaker. But it's quite difficult. You can't just suddenly jump from having a fan base that's built up from modelling and, the bit of acting and stuff like that to suddenly being completely out of the picture. So, you have to kind of keep yourself front of camera as well. Maybe now I wouldn't need to do that. I'd probably just put myself in a cameo or something rather than being kind of a main role in a film. But it's kind of a gradual process, really. Otherwise, you can't just completely do a U-turn and expect everyone to to like everything you're doing if you're not in it, and that's part of what you were doing before. If that makes
Would you
sense.
say most of your older, but original fan base were supportive of you going into making films?
I think all the true fans were. I did see a drop off of quite a number of fans engaging with stuff when I started to do the filmmaking. Again, if you're a fan of something, say you're a fan of somebody and they're a horror actor or something, and all of a sudden they start doing something quite different, you might not be as enthused to engage with their posts. So yeah, I did see that, and that's natural and it's going to happen. But for the majority, there are a lot of people that were behind that. And I think, the fans there are now are stronger, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a different thing, but I used to have all my stuff on one YouTube account, and a lot of the rest, not all of them, but some of the wrestling fans would be mad that there was horror stuff, and then some of the horror fans they wouldn't be mad, but they'd be confused that there was wrestling stuff, intermixed with everything. So that's why there's two separate YouTube channels.
Exactly. Well, I think that makes sense, really, and for the reasons you've said and I've said, like if you're trying to combine things or completely flip the switch on something, you can't expect people to necessarily like the next kind of thing you're doing. So there might be people that hate the puppets. There probably are, They may
be scared. I wouldn't put. If anyone hates the puppets, I don't know if you need them around anyway.
No.
They are amazing, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Trista, do you have another question?
Do you have any advice for aspiring creators?
Yeah, I would say basically get out there and do it. But it is competitive. There are loads of people making films of all kinds of types of films, all kinds of budgets and stuff like that. There are festivals that will play, a niche market or a range of films. So there will be a festival out there for most people's films to play at. Again, even though I said mobile filmmaking probably isn't my isn't something I would necessarily want to go into. It is something that's available to most people. And if you've got a good story and you've got the eye to shoot it, you can make something really good. So, if people are kind of sat there and not moving ahead with something because they think they've not got a fancy camera and all this kind of stuff, well, don't worry about that. Use what you've got, but just use it well. And when you've made something, don't kind of expect to sit there and amazing things to happen, because that rarely happens. Rarely things are picked up like organically and go viral like that. So if you want people to see things, you have to be there approaching people saying, oh, can you review my film, submitting it to festivals. And unfortunately, they do cost money. So you need to have a little bit of budget there for that. That's probably the best advice. So go and do it well with the kit that's available to you, and make sure that you are out there knocking on doors trying to promote it, and don't expect, sort of like this viral organic thing, which happens only to a very small number of films.
And then if you do actually make it, it's out there as opposed to just in your head. And then, later on, maybe you could get, other equipment and stuff.
Yeah, or just like make it as a short. So if you had an idea for a feature, but obviously you don't have, you can make a feature on a small budget, but you're really, really relying on your friends and contacts putting in so much time and effort, over an extended period of time for a feature, which is a big ask for a lot of people. So if you've got a feature in mind, maybe write the feature, but make a short film version of that. Get your short film version around the festivals, see if there's interest, which there might be, and then you can make it into a feature.
When you said about some of the fan base, some of them not going, along with you making movies, how about your family and friends? What did they think of, you moving from modeling and different things to, I want to be a filmmaker?
Yeah, I think they're all supportive of it. I don't think anyone's ever said anything bad. I think probably they know my kind of drive and motivation to do things and do them to kind of the best of my ability. And for me, it's just a natural progression, because the modeling thing, Although I'd actually always wanted to model, because it is fun and it is nice, you know, having those pictures and stuff like that, and being on magazines and stuff like, you know, all those sort of kind of things. It is cool. It's not that creative from the model's point of view. And when I started to do that, I joined a meetup group as a photographer, and they thought I joined as a model. So I kind of fell into it that way. Yeah, so I don't think anyone has anything negative to say, only positive things to say, really.
That's
and
good.
I mean, I've certainly roped a lot of friends into things over the years. So, yeah.
And I like the new hair, by the way.
Thanks very much. Yeah. Yeah, it's changed several times over lockdown.
Yeah. I think it's changed several times since I've known you. But
yeah, well, before that, it was long and black. And like, I mean, at one point, a really long, like super, super long, almost down to my hips long. And it was like that for years, just the same, constantly. And yeah, then I cut it shorter and went a bit wild with it. So it's changed several times now over the past few years.
Well, it looks good, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can people find your shorts and or anything that you're doing?
Probably the best thing to do is just go to my website, which is emmadark.com. And there's a whole bunch of stuff on there. If people want to find out more about me, they can do that. If they want links to all the short films, they're on there. There's more information about the short films on there. There's links to all my social media on there. There's a press page as well, which has got links to all of the interviews that I've done that I can remember about on there. So if people want to learn more, they can go through all those as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there. So that's a good source for everything, really.
Cool. Another thing I do want to ask, though, is we've been doing Decade of Decapitation on the show, which is the best horror films of 2010s, the 2010 decades, 2011, 2020. Do you have any? I probably should have asked you beforehand. You could have been prepared. But do you have any that stand out to you for that decade that would be the best of the last decade?
Oh, I honestly, like, don't ask me to put years to films because I'm not good at
I know when we were putting our own together, a lot of movies I thought were going to be on my list. I'd look them up and they'd be like 2003 or something. I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to my head when he said that, because I did watch it quite recently, was literally all of the Final Destination films. But I think they were early 2000s.
Yeah, they might even be. They might even be 90s. Like the first one.
I think some of them might have been. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I rewatched all of those recently, which was fun.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite franchise?
Well, I mean, I would say Chucky.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, because I just love the Chucky films. They're great. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Chucky. It's a good point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's been very fun, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, and I hope you feel better.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm almost getting there. The voice is still a bit, and still getting a bit tired, but yeah, almost there now.
And looking forward to more films and more puppets.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, more coming at you soon.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks both of you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.